there are two fundamental attitudes toward life and its sorrows. Those with the first attitude blame the world. Those with the second ask what they could do differently. It's much easier and much more gratifying to your basest desires to blame someone else for your misery.
It's not about doing the occasional big things. It's about doing the consistent, small things.
If you go to the gym and you work out and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. And if you go to the gym the next day and you come back and you look in the mirror, you will see nothing. So clearly there's no results, can't be measured, it must not be effective. So we quit. Or if you fundamentally believe that this is the right course of action, stick with it. You commit yourself to the regime, the exercise. If you stick with it consistently, I'm not exactly sure what day, but I know you'll start getting into shape. There's no event. It's an accumulation of lots and lots of little things that anyone by themselves is innocuous and useless. But if you do it consistently, and you do it in combination with lots of other little things, it's those little innocuous things that you do over and over and over and over that matter the most.
When you're consistently good, when you are consistently true to your word and to your values, when what you say and what you do consistently measures up, and that there's a sense of cohesion in your thoughts and your words and your actions and your questions, when all of it comes together in a consistent way, then all of a sudden the people say, I buy into that person.
What I did yesterday got me to where I am today. But what I did yesterday is not going to help me to stay where I am today. Do you understand me? You don't get out of life what you want. You get what you earn.
Here, this is an everyday gig. Every day is a Monday. Every day is a beginning, a new day, a new shot at life. An opportunity to come out of the gate like a man possessed and attack the day without mercy.
Every one of you in 5 years from now is going to arrive somewhere. Here's the thing. So many people, we just throw our lives up in the air and rely on chance and just hope it all works out. You don't have to throw your life up to chance. Your life can be a choice, and you can choose where you want to go the next 5 years and beyond.
You are powerful, and you are impactful, and you are in control.
Today, I'm putting the pressure on. I'm the aggressor. I'm on the attack. And I will not stop.
They said I couldn't. They said I wouldn't. They said they didn't believe in me. They said I couldn't because of my circumstances. I couldn't because of my past. Because it hadn't been done before. I said, so what? You can complain and remain the same, or you can decide, commit, and work towards becoming someone that no one thought you could be.
You have to deal with the reality of the situation. Dwelling and pondering and crying doesn't do shit, and it especially doesn't do shit in this echo chamber. In this arena, there is no crying. You can cry, you're just gonna lose. And I have bad news about complaining and crying. Nobody gives a shit.
I may not like it, but I'm not a whiner. I'm a warrior. I know I can handle this. You have that attitude, you'll come out stronger, increased, promoted, better than you were before. We've all heard the saying, no pain, no gain. If everything was always easy, we wouldn't be prepared for our destiny.
You don't like where you are? Change something. You don't like your body? Change something. You don't like your job? Change it. Do something about it. Complaining about your situation is not going to change your situation. No one is coming to save you.
Negative is normal. It's not successful, but it's normal. It's part of life. You must learn to handle the negative. Don't ignore it. Handle it. You don't have to live in it. You don't have to dwell on it. But you do have to handle it, my opinion.
And I'm saying to you, what if all of us took that attitude after we face a rejection and a no, or we have a meeting and no one shows up, or somebody say, you can count on me, and they don't come through? What if we have that kind of attitude? The car's repossessed. Nobody believes in you. You've lost again and again and again. The lights are cut off, but you're still looking at your dream, reviewing it every day and say to yourself, it's not over until I win.
The poor pessimist leads an ugly life. Pessimism, the deadly disease of always looking on the bad side, the problem side, the difficult side, checking all the reasons why it can't be done. He doesn't try to figure out what's right. He tries to figure out what's wrong. He doesn't look for virtue. He looks for faults. And when he finds them, he's delighted. How ugly. This is the poor guy who looks through the window, doesn't see the sunset. He sees the specks on the window. And this is the poor guy, right, who rushes up, takes such leave of his senses. This guy rushes up and he says, I've got 5 good reasons why it won't work. He's so dumb he doesn't know. All he needs 1. He's got 5. To the pessimist, the glass is always half empty. To the optimist, the glass is half full. Why would the same measure affect people 2 different ways? Answer, it all depends on how you look at it. Our lives are mostly affected by the way we think things are, not the way they are. The way we think they are affects us most. There's a subject we don't have time to get into tonight called better thinking habits. One of the major things Shoaff taught me when I met him, he said, poor thinking habits keeps most people poor. Not poor working habits. Most people work hard, but they don't think hard. And Shoaff taught me that the mind is like a factory, a mental factory. And whatever you think about all day long pours ingredients into this mental factory. And that's what builds the economic, social, financial fabric of your life. He quoted me a Bible phrase that says, as you think, so you become. How awesome. When he talked about poor thinking habits, he had me. I used to start the day reading the morning newspaper. I mean, you can believe that or not. I'd get a cup of coffee and read the paper. I'd load up on wars and riots and murders and stabbings and killings and bank robberies and muggings and car wrecks and tragedies. I'd even read the back pages. I seem to like that stuff for some weird reason. I'd load up on all that, and then I'd start the day. You can imagine the kind of days I used to have. You walk around on your financial needs. They call you economic peewee. The guy says, I want to be a great leader. Wonderful. The first thing we do is follow him to his house. When we get there, we walk in and check his library, number 1. Somebody says, well, why check his library? The reason is because what a man reads pours massive ingredients into his mental factory, and the fabric of his life is built from those ingredients. You would not believe what some people have got in their house to read. You would not believe. One of the best dressed up words I know for a lot of it is trash. Can you imagine dumping a barrel of trash into this mental factory every day and coming out with a rich, dynamic, positive life? It can't be done.
Life ain't luck, man. This is what life is. Life is hard work, life is faith, and life is grace. If you understand that you got to work hard, faith without works is dead. You just keep the faith and work really hard and then ask God for as much grace as he can give you. Grace is God's unmerited favor. He gives you stuff you don't deserve. That's what you want out of life. You want God to do something for you that you just don't deserve it. That's what it is. Somebody was playing golf with a guy that owns Mayo Clinic one time. He told me, he said, justice is when you get what you deserve. Mercy is when you don't get what you deserve. Grace is when you get what you don't deserve. And you hear old people say, all I want is a little more grace. I just want some grace. I want God to give me a house that I don't really deserve. I want him to give me a lifestyle I don't really deserve. See, that's the problem with people. They think they deserve something. No, you don't. I work really hard. Everybody work hard. You just need some grace, man. You need God to just give you something that ain't on the vision board. Just need God to give you something that you didn't even ask for. That's when life gets real special for you. All I want is a little more grace. Like I got a vision board, right? but I ask God that his will be done in my life. Because what I can want, it can never compare to what God can give. You see what I'm saying? So you can want all you want, but if you line up with the will of God, what God has planned for you is way better than anything you could ever plan. You can't outthink him. That's how you get the life of your dreams, man. You set your goals and your aspirations, but then you leave the open end to your thy will be done on earth as it is. It's the Lord's Prayer. Man, it's not, you know, when your mama teaches it to you as a little kid, it's like really the dopest prayer, man. Give us this day our daily bread. Don't ask for nothing else. Quit worrying about tomorrow. Just help me make decisions for today that let me live the best day. When you worry about tomorrow, you're off into something you have no say-so in. You have no control. So why would you worry? By worrying does not add a single hour to a day. Not 1 hour. So what you got to ask God for is your daily bread, just for today. You'd be amazed what would happen to you if you quit tripping about tomorrow. Just today. Today is plenty. Today is so adequate. That's why he gives us 24 hours, and he breaks it up into day and night. You know why? Because he knows 24 is too much. So he lets you stay up during the daytime, that you go to bed at night so you can recover. You think I'm lying? Stay up 24 hours, see what happens. Just stay up 24 hours and see what happens. You ain't gonna believe it's too much. That's the real, you know, people they write books about success. And people kill me when they write about success, but they don't tell people about God. If you're trying to be successful without God, you ain't gonna make it. You can try, but you're not gonna make it. You might make it a little way, but you can't stay there. It's not sustainable. You have to have faith, man. And I was talking the other day, and a lady, not this year, but a lady in the crowd said, I don't believe in God. Okay, well, I didn't know you was coming, so I'm just talking to the other people in here who get it. You know, if you're an atheist, I don't care. That don't bother me. So I told me, well, as a Christian, it's your job to convert. I'm not into conversion business. I ain't that good a Christian. You don't believe in God? Go to hell. Ain't got no problem with that. You want to go to hell? That's you. Go. Knock yourself out. There's plenty of room. But I got news for you. Hell gonna be packed. That lady just shaking her head. I can't believe he's saying this. Yeah, it's humor. That's how I work. I work off that. You know, I'm not that Christian. I'm not in the conversion business. I'm not in the saved soul business. I tell jokes. If you want to go to hell, I'm perfectly comfortable with it. Just don't drag me with you. You want to go to hell? I was interviewing this guy. He said, well, Steve, you're a Christian. Suppose there's no heaven. Well, then I lived the best life I could and there's no heaven. You got a bigger problem. Suppose it is. And you don't go. I don't believe God will burn us up. No, I don't know about all that. Why take a chance? Heaven, streets of gold, springs, fine. You know the real reason I want to go to heaven? Because I want to see my mama. That's all.
With cement. The kids back in Danbury, Connecticut, high school, they're asking me questions one day. I'm talking to the kids. Kids got good questions these days. One of them said to me, Mr. Rohn, how do you build the good life? I said, it's simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. Here's how you build anything. Select the right ingredients, keep out the wrong ingredients, and it starts with thought. Everything starts with thought. So you must be wise and careful what you think about, because that starts everything. You got to be wise and careful. I asked the kids, what would happen if somebody dropped sugar in my coffee? They said, well, you'd be okay. I said, what if somebody dropped strychnine in my coffee? They said, well, you'd be dead. I said, correct. Lesson 1. Life is both sugar and strychnine. You gotta be careful. I said, what if my worst enemy drops in the sugar? They said, will you be okay? I said, what if my best friend, even by accident, drops in the strychnine? They said, well, you'd be dead. I said, correct. Lesson 2, watch your call. You got to be careful. See, it doesn't matter who hands you the bad stuff. It doesn't matter where you get the bad stuff. It'll still do its damage on your bank account. Wherever you get it. Mr. Shelf gave me one of the greatest phrases when I first met him when he said, Jim, every day stand guard at the door of your mind.
You need an ideal because you have nothing to aim at, but an ideal is a judge, and you always fall short of the ideal. So how the hell can you have the benefits of having an ideal without having the crushing blow that goes along with having the judge that always regards you as insufficient? So I was trying to work that out in the chapter, and this is something I've had to work out a lot as a clinical psychologist. Like, well, let's say you need a goal, but we don't want to let your distance from the goal crush you. So you got to set up a goal, and then you got to make the goal, break the goal down into parts so that you can move towards it and you have a fairly high likelihood of doing it. So that's a bit of practical, I wouldn't say advice, it's because it's better than advice. It's some practical knowledge about how to go about achieving an aim. Set a high aim, but differentiate it down so you know what the next step is, and then make the next step difficult enough so you have to push yourself past where you are, but also provide yourself with a reasonable probability of success. It's also what you do with children, right? You want to push them because they need to grow up and be more than they are, right? But you don't want to crush them with constant failures. So what you do is aim high and make the goal difficult but proximal. One of the things I've thought about a fair bit is the meaning of the Sermon on the Mount. And as far as I can tell, it's basically two-part wisdom. The first is that you should aim at the highest good that you can imagine. And that would be a good that includes everyone, right? So if I wanted what was good for you, say, if I genuinely wanted it, I want it in a way that was good for you now and good in the long run, good for you and your family and your community, and maybe good for me too. You know, you could conceive of that as the desire. And I think that's a good definition of love, is that you actually want the best possible outcome. And in the Gospels, of course, that's extended even to your enemies.
Yes.
Right? Is that, okay, if we're going to have things good, let's have it good enough for even the people that set themselves up against me. Because if the world was running properly, things would be good for them too. And that would be better. And it seems to me that that's a very good way of looking at things. It's a difficult way of looking at things. And then the second part of the Sermon on the Mount is something like, having established that as your aim, which is no easy thing, by the way, right? Because you have to be pretty clear-headed and single-minded to actually want that to be your aim. Then you can concentrate on the day and you can try telling the truth. And you can ally, so there's truth and love that are allied together. Truth, love, and attention, it's something like that are all allied together. With regards to transgressing against the vulnerable,
Jesus cares how you treat people you think you don't need. He's watching how you handle them, how you treat them. Anybody can treat somebody good when you want a loan, when you need an equity loan, when you need an investment, when you need a job, when you need some help. But very few people take the time to respect the janitor, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, the attendant. You got to treat people with the same dignity. And I just got to talk about how God protects you. You might, to the defenseless, to the broken, to the wounded, to the rejected, to the person who has a scarlet letter on their head. I want you to lift up your head. To the person who has no recourse and can't afford help and can't get the breakthrough that they need. To the person who's tied up in an abusive relationship. To the person who's mistreated on the job and in their neighborhood and in their life. You may not see it, but sooner or later, God is going to handle the person that's mishandling you.
One day, it was a Saturday afternoon. A disc jockey by the name of Rockin' Roger was drinking while he was on the air. And I was the only one there. Rockin' Roger got so drunk, he could not complete the show. He started slurring his words. And there I was, looking at him through the control room window, walking back and forth, ready and hungry
Then pretty soon the phone rang. It was the general manager, and I answered the phone. I said, hello? He said, young boy, this is Mr. Klein. He said, Rock can't finish his program. He said, would you call one of the other DJs in? I said, yes, sir. I said to myself, he must think I'm crazy. I called my mom and my girlfriend, said, y'all come out on the front porch and turn up the radio. I'm about to come on the air. And I called him back. I said, Mr. Klein, I can't find nobody. He said, young boy, you know how to work the controls? I said, yes, sir. He said, go in there and segue the records, but don't say nothing here. I put on a fast record. I said, look out, this is me, LD Triple P. There were none before me, and there will be none after me. Therefore, that makes me the one and only. Young and single and love to mingle, certified, bona fide, and qualified to bring you satisfaction and a whole lot of action. Look out, baby, I'm your love man. I was hungry. I was hungry. You gotta be hungry.
Your real life, the one God really got for you, is in your imagination. It is not in your current situation. And if you've been living like that, you have then restricted yourself to a commonality that is really not yours. Because what really God got for you is really in your imagination. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen.
The most powerful thing you can do is let it slide right off. Don't give it the time of day. Don't think about it anymore. Don't relive it. Don't go call your friends, tell them what they said. Keep your heart pure. Save your emotional energy to live this day to the full, to pursue your dreams, to love your family, to be good to your neighbor. When someone is rude, they're offensive, don't take that personally. It's not about you, it's their own struggles on the inside. They don't like themselves, that's why they don't like you. They're upset over things that have nothing to do with you. You just happen to enter their story when they're blowing off steam. Stay oiled up and move on. None of that will stop your destiny unless you get distracted and start fighting battles that don't matter. Trying to pay people back instead of letting God be your vindicator. This is what David did. 1 Samuel 25, David and his men had been living out in the countryside. They were on the run from King Saul. A man named Nabal lived in the city of Carmel, not far from David. He was very wealthy, thousands of sheep, goats. But verse 3 says, Nabal was a mean man. He was dishonest and hard to get along with. David and his army had been protecting Nabal's property by just being there. They were very powerful. They could have taken the flocks, got rid of his shepherds, but they were good to Nabal. It was time for shearing the sheep, the harvest season. So David sent messengers to Nabal asking for food since they had been protecting his family and flock. You would think Nabal would be grateful. He had these men watching after him, but Nabal was very rude. He said, who is this man David? I never asked him to do anything for me. I don't owe him a penny. Tell him to forget it. I'm not going to give him anything. When David heard that, it set him off. He didn't think about the oil of joy. He didn't sing the psalm he wrote, this is the day the Lord has made. Let's be glad. He was furious. He told his men, pack up. We're going to go take care of Nabal. He said, as surely as I live, not one of Nabal's family members will be alive by this time tomorrow. David was offended, angry. He wasn't going to let Nabal get by with insulting him. And yes, there are times we're supposed to fight. We need to take action. David fought Goliath, but you have to make sure that battle is between you and your destiny. If not, it's a distraction. David was so wrought up in his emotions, he didn't realize this wasn't a battle he was supposed to fight. How many times are we fighting battles because, like David, we're offended, we're upset, they did us wrong, but that wasn't a battle between us and our destiny. It was just our flesh getting riled up, wanting to take matters into our own hands. We were supposed to let it slide off, not dwell on it, and trust God to be our vindicator. Here's how merciful God is. David was headed toward Nabal's house, full speed ahead, about to make a mistake that would hinder his destiny. Nabal's wife was a lady named Abigail. She was a wise woman. She loaded up 200 loaves of bread, 200 bottles of wine, 500 cakes, and headed out to meet David. When she saw him, she bowed down low and said, David, my husband is a fool. He's hard-headed, hot-tempered, dishonest. He shouldn't have insulted you. I brought you these gifts, hoping you'll forgive him. She went on to say, David, you are called to be the king of Israel.
Why would you even fight with this fool? Why would you waste your time with this stubborn man? Don't let this needless battle be a blemish on your record. She spoke wisdom into David. She was saying, David, look at who you are. You're the next king. God is going to entrust you with an enduring dynasty, but you're about to blow it, taking revenge on this fool. David came to his senses. He said, Abigail, the Lord God of Israel surely has sent you to me today. For if you had not kept me from carrying out vengeance with my own hands, not one of your family members would be alive. We're all going to encounter Nabals in life. People that are rude, hard to get along with, offensive. I'll ask you what Abigail asked David. Why are you fighting with a fool? Why are you in conflict with someone that's not going anywhere? Why are you upset with that person that cut you off in traffic? You don't even know them. Why are you offended at that coworker? They're not between you and your destiny. They can't stop what God has planned for you. So they don't like you. They made negative comments. They left you out. That's a test. You can't reach your destiny without difficult people. Don't get distracted, baited into conflict, in battles that don't matter. Be like that Teflon pan. Don't let any of it stick. God has an awesome future for you, but the enemy will work overtime, like with David, to try to get you distracted, offended, trying to pay people back. Don't take the bait. Abigail came back home the next morning, told her husband what she had done. When he heard it, Nabal had a stroke, became paralyzed. 10 days later, he died. Abigail was a beautiful woman. David didn't waste any time. He sent word asking her to become his wife. She agreed. When you let God fight your battles, you'll come out better than you were before. I'm not saying you're going to get an extra wife, but he'll make it up to you. But if it hadn't been for Abigail, if she had not stopped David from acting on his emotions, we might not be talking about David. If you let people get you upset, offended, where you're focused on paying them back, you can miss your destiny. Maybe today I'm your Abigail. Maybe God sent me to remind you to not let difficult people bait you into conflict, steal your joy, cause you to live frustrated, spending energy on things that don't matter. You can't get away from the Nabals. You may pray one away, Nabal Jr. will show up tomorrow. You have to make up your mind that difficult people are not going to control you. You're not going to let them offend you, upset you, push your buttons. Turn those buttons off. Stay in peace. Time is short. We're not always going to be here. Don't waste another minute fighting with crows, arguing with chickens, debating with turkeys. Be an eagle. Start rising above that. If you'll do this, I believe and declare you're not only going to enjoy your life more, but God will take care of your Nabals. You're going to see vindication, promotion, favor, breakthroughs, new levels of your destiny.
Your first commitment is to God. The God who gave you life, who blew breath into you. Mama bought you shoes, daddy got you a bicycle. God gave you life.
Put God first. Everything that I have is by the grace of God. Understand that.
You owe him a level of commitment beyond all others.
Because it's not like you don't have a dream for your life. It's not like you don't have a desire. In fact, some of you, it's not that you don't even have faith in God. Your problem is every time you step out, you have yoked yourself up to people that you have no business being yoked up to, and your life is going in zigzags. Why is it I'm back here again, this time like I was last year? I should have overcome that. I should be further. I should be stronger.
If you're not committed, you're not going to make it.
To commit means to put your body and soul into something. To offer your life as a sacrifice means that you're willing to make a bargain with fate. And the bargain is, I'm going to act as if I give it my all, then the best possible thing will happen because of that. And it has to be an act of faith, because how are you going to know? You can look at other people, but that isn't going to do it. It's a decision. That's the covenant. Right? It's a decision about how to live in the world, because the evidence can't be there before you make the decision.
You know what I thought to myself? I thought I would hate to live and die and never know what would happen if I ever committed myself to anything. Some people have never thrown their whole self at nothing. Not at school, not at work. Oh my God, you've had 1 foot in and 1 foot out of every dream all of your life, and you've never seen what you could be if you ever really connected and threw everything.
And the question is, if you died today, what ideas, what dreams, what abilities, what talents, what gifts will die with you?
There's no such thing as try. So most people like to use that language. They don't want to commit themselves, because commitment means, among many things, no excuse is acceptable. That's what it means. No excuse. That if you decided that you're going to do this, if it becomes hard, then do it hard. If it's difficult, so what? If it's inconvenient, so what? See, a lot of people made a commitment to come here tonight, but they looked outside and said, it's raining. And that's how people do about their dreams. They don't honor their commitments to themselves. Let me tell you what happens when you don't keep your commitment. Number one, it begins to deplete your self-esteem and it erodes your self-image.
But you've never been the person that you could be, because the could be is locked up behind commitment, and until you're committed, you'll never get the could be. You have to be committed through the storm and the rain and the heartache and the pain and the disappointment. You have to believe in the we and the us and not the me and the you, or you're not gonna make it. It's a commitment. It's not a feeling. What do you do when you tried and failed and you want to quit and you want to give up? Because trying again means hurting again, means risking again, means believing again, means hoping again. Sometimes you can be blessed and be unhappy, because even though things are going right, they're not going according to what you had believed and expected, and you know that something is missing out of your life. What do you do when something is missing out of your life and the things that replaced it do not compensate for what you lost?
I've always been told how average I can be. Always been criticized about being average. But I want to tell you something. I stand here before you, not listening to those words, but telling myself every single day to shoot for the stars, to be the best that I can be. Good enough isn't good enough if it can be better, and better isn't good enough if it can be best.
Turn your wounds into wisdom. You will be wounded many times in your life. You'll make mistakes. Some people will call them failures. But I have learned that failure is really God's way of saying, excuse me, you're moving in the wrong direction.
Other than death, all failure is psychological. Other than death, all failure is psychological. Think about that. If you aren't dead, then it's just psychological. It does not mean that you won't lose some battles, because you will. We all will. But it does mean that as long as you don't surrender, as long as you don't give up, as long as you don't quit, then you haven't failed. It just means you've made a temporary tactical retreat, a brief withdrawal, so that you can regroup and reattack. If you get beat, unless you're dead, you are not defeated. And you have not failed. What you've done is you've learned. You've gained experience. And you're still alive. So get up and go get after it.
We all live in this bubble. What you gotta do to get the life that God wants you to have, you gotta put more air in your bubble. You got to blow your bubble up. Expand yourself. Take yourself out your comfort zone. Put some more air in your bubble. If you stay in your comfort zone, that's where you will fail. You will fail in your comfort zone. Success is not a comfortable procedure. It is a very uncomfortable thing to attempt. So you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable if you ever want to be successful.
People say you have to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, and it's totally true. And the reason is because it's so hard that if you don't, any rational person would give up. It's really hard, and you have to do it over a sustained period of time. So if you don't love it, if you're not having fun doing it, and you don't really love it, you're going to give up. And that's what happens to most people, actually. If you really look at the ones that ended up, being successful, unquote, in the eyes of society, and the ones that didn't, oftentimes it's the ones that are successful loved what they did so they could persevere, when it got really tough. And the ones that didn't love it quit. So it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of worrying constantly. If you don't love it, you're going to fail. So you got to love it. You got to have passion.
If you think ordinary's cool, ain't no problem. It's some really wonderful ordinary people. But if you are sitting in this room and you have extraordinary aspirations, then you're going to have to do extra. You put extra on top of ordinary and you come up with extraordinary. It's no other way. But here's the fact. All of you have extraordinary capabilities. All of you. You have to decide if you are willing to do the things to put you in that category. Rich people don't sleep 8 hours a day. That's a third of your life. He who loves to sleep and the folding of hands, poverty will set upon you like a thief in the night.
You don't have to live worried, focused on the problems, wondering why it happened. You know a secret. You have favor in the storm. You know what was meant for harm, he's turning to your advantage. Here's the key. The enemy wouldn't be fighting you if you weren't a threat. Oh, get ready. Favor is about to turn things around. Favor is about to catapult you to a new level. Favor is not going to keep you from the storm, but favor will bring you out of the storm. We don't understand everything that happens. Sometimes life is not fair, but you have to trust that God knows what he's doing.
This thing called life. You just don't know what the next moment will bring. But here's what I do know, and I want you to know. You have comeback power. When something happens to you, don't buy into what has happened to you. Buy into, I'm getting up out of here. I'm going to change this situation. This does not work for me, and I don't have the luxury of being depressed and angry. I need to clear my head. This is no time to do something stupid, like hurt yourself. No.
So get serious about your goals, business goals, financial independence goals, family goals. I mean, there's so many things to work on this. If you don't get busy and work on it, sure enough, the time will pass. And sure enough, 5 years from now, you'll wind up where you don't want to be, wearing what you don't want to wear, driving what you don't want to drive, being what you don't want to be. Now's the time to fix it. Your goals are affecting you, whatever they are. Your goals affect your attitude, personality. All day long, we're being affected by our goals.
You got to clear your head so that the decision that you make represents the best in you. People who don't stop to clear their heads, they react. They don't respond. Be still and know that you're going to get through this. You're going to get through this. And you don't want to be radical. You don't want to be erratic. Just be still and know, I'm going to get through this. You got to assure yourself. You have to encourage yourself. You have to clear your mind.
Your better future is a dream. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What do you want to be? What do you want to see? You've got to dream dreams. Without dreams and visions, people perish. You've got to have something to go for. Take the crumbs from starving soldiers, they won't die. Take the bread, hungry children, they won't cry. But without dreams, we all will die. You've got to dream. Don't lose your dream. Becoming something unique on your journey here, don't lose your dream. That's long-range goals. Got to have those. Because if you set up something short-range, go for it, get it, latch onto it, work hard, accomplish it. That starts building your strong feelings to go for your dream. Economics plays a major role in everybody's life, which means it ought to be meticulously well planned for tomorrow.
Area of life that matters clearly to all of us is time. And most people have very little mastery of this. I don't mean checking things off your list. I mean squeezing out of your life what matters to you most. Your career, where is it now? And where are you financially compared to where you want to be? And especially with some of the changes that have happened in the economies around the world. And then finally, where are you in your level of sense of meaning, of contribution, and your sense of celebration in life? These are the areas that really matter most. Sit down and define what this looks like for you today. And invariably what we find out is almost everybody has some gaps. Gaps between where you are and where you want to be. And even if you've done incredibly well, I mean, I deal with some of the most successful people in the world, they're usually still happy in their life because they're hungry. They haven't lost that drive that says, look, what makes me feel alive is to know I'm growing. You know, if my life's going to get better, I got to get better. I can't just hope. And if my life is going to be rich emotionally, it's got to be expanding. And they know that. If you work your tail off at work to take care of your family and be the best at what you can do, your career's going really well. Isn't that the nature of human beings?
To me, successful is getting to the point where you are absolutely comfortable with yourself. It does not matter how many things you have acquired. The ability to learn to say no and not to feel guilty about it, to me, is about the greatest success I have achieved. The fact that I have, in the public side, done whatever, it's all a part of a process for growing for me. But to me, to have the kind of internal strength and internal courage it takes to say, no, I will not let you treat me this way, is what success is all about. I will not be treated this way. I demand only the best for myself.
We tend to focus on things we feel confident in, we know what to do in, and the other stuff we kind of hope it all comes together and try not to think about it too much, but it all affects us. You gotta start with what it is you really, truly want now. You gotta start with that end in mind. And then once you understand there is a gap between where you are and where you want to be, here's all we do. We believe that the most powerful way to change anything is total immersion.